Welcome to Always Talking Ball with Drew and Ethan.
Yours truly.
Yours truly. From a different angle today. My laptop's currently in the shop, so
Oof.
big Oompa Loompa, and I sat on it, but
Ethan, you sat on your laptop?
it was already damaged, and then I sat on it, and then it's cracked, and it was just a bad situation. They had to order some computer screen from China. All right, so down to the nitty gritty,
Down to
the
business.
football business,
Yeah.
the
So
playoff games.
So how about Notre Dame? I gotta say though, for much of that first half, Penn State was dominating the line of scrimmage.
For
I,
sure.
I mean, Notre Dame's offensive line really they couldn't keep up in the first half. Abdul Carter was, I think he had I think it was either his left arm that was giving him some issues throughout the week. But I mean, he still, he still balled out. Like,
Yeah, Penn State still played well.
yeah.
An interesting statistic I would like to mention is Drew Allard did not throw a completion to a single wide receiver that night.
Hey, we said they're a big run the ball team, and that's exactly what they did.
That's what we saw from both teams. We love Notre Dame's ability to shorten the game. That's why
Yeah.
they've done so well in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Their ability to shorten games and take your offense out of it by killing the clock and playing ball control football.
Yeah. Well, and both lines of scrimmage for Penn State dominated the first half. I mean, Notre Dame couldn't run the football, and then on the other side, Penn State's offensive line, they were pushing Notre Dame's defensive line. They were shoving them out of the way for Nick Singleton and who's 13?
Keytron Allen?
Yeah, Keytron Allen. Yeah. They had some big openings, and then second half was a completely different. I mean, hats off to Marcus Freeman because he made the right adjustments at the right time. Otherwise, it could have been ugly.
It could have been very ugly.
Yeah, Riley Leonard I think he went to the sideline for a potential concussion protocol. And so if he would have been out, then they were talking about his backup is pretty good too. But if he would have been out, that would have changed the game definitely.
Oh, for sure. That would have been Steve Angeli.
Yeah.
Is who Notre Dame's backup quarterback was.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Jeremiah Love do some crazy things in that game too. He hurdled somebody.
I was about to say, I think he said before the game because he was wearing that knee brace that he wasn't going to hurdle anybody, and well, he pulled out one of those.
You know, he's been playing fearless. This Notre Dame team has been playing fearless, and that's really the story of this Notre Dame team, to be honest.
Yeah.
Underdog, just go. They only had one home game. They played against everybody. They were underdogs almost the entire way, except that first round matchup versus Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in the second half, they were able to they whatever adjustment they made at the offensive line, they made a really good one because Jeremiah Love was able to run the football the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were able to pass the ball too. They had a couple of big pass plays downfield that they were able to get big plays on.
Mm-hmm. Riley Leonard proved himself as a passer that night.
Yeah. But man, I felt like Penn State, those mistakes that you can't make in a playoff game, like Drew Allard throwing that pick on their
near the very end, yeah.
I mean, they kind of just gave it away in a way.
They crapped the bed in that second half.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they were playing for a spot in the national championship. I mean, they were so close, but they just couldn't. Man, they just couldn't get out of their way.
James Franklin still can't win that big game to get him over the higher tier of great coaches. James Franklin is a good coach, but he's not a great coach.
Hey, I mean, considering he was able to, Penn State was a team that didn't even have a first round bye, and they got all. I mean, they were a pretty good team in the play. Obviously, not as good as Ohio State or maybe a Texas, but I think they were still a pretty good team in the playoffs.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't want an all Big Ten championship, so I was kind of happy that Notre Dame won.
So let me read you some stats. So, Notre Dame, they had 383 yards of total offense. Penn State had 339 yards, which was really good. Notre Dame had 267 passing yards. A good chunk of that arguably was in the second half because they had some big plays in the second half. And then Penn State only had 135. Like we said, they didn't really throw the ball much. They basically ran the ball most of the night. And then Notre Dame had 116 rushing yards. Penn State had 204 rushing yards, which makes sense. Notre Dame averaged around 5 yards a play, and Penn State averaged 5 yards a play. So, yeah, Notre Dame it just looks like Notre Dame just kind of really hit their stride in the passing game in the second half.
Yeah, that's something I really noticed in that Jaden Greaterhouse really took over that second half from the wide receiver position.
Yeah, he had that. He put I think he put that. Didn't he put that safety in his shoe tracks?
Yeah, he made him go on his. Once you as your DB, I know like your job is to cover the back part, but he continued to backpedal, and his foot got stuck, and it just.
Oh, it was
raps.
That was woo, man. He got put on his butt, and there was no coming back from that.
Yeah, safety's coach watching that just like looked in disgust from that play.
I'm sure James Franklin on the sideline was like, seriously?
But with all that momentum going forward, Jaden Greaterhouse is probably going to have a touchdown, whether the safety had an attempt at the tackle or not.
Yeah. No, that was a crazy play, and he definitely got put in a spot that play.
And it puts Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman on a national stage, a bigger one that they're not used to being on.
Yeah. Well, the last time they won a national championship was 1988.
And they're going to have a tough task against Ohio State, but I really love Notre Dame's. I really love Marcus Freeman and what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, do we want to talk about the game of that night?
The Ohio State-Texas game.
Mm-hmm. So then TU Longhorns, like we predicted, are headed back to Austin with a big L. And
I saw you're getting real excited about the game the other day. You and your mom got you on camera saying we're going to send those Horns back to Austin.
Hey, Texas had a homecoming coming back to AT&T Stadium, and guess what? Buckeye said, this is our house tonight. And they said that very clearly and loudly, and they took care of them Longhorns.
That Ohio State defense played marvelous that night.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal defense by Ryan Day's staff.
Jack Sawyer is an absolute menace. He's going to be a legend for that Buckeye program for many years to come. This guy ran 95 yards for a scoop and score. Guy said he almost blacked out while trying to get the touchdown. He said he hasn't run that far or that fast on a football field like that since grade school.
That's just crazy.
Dude.
And he got that touchdown against his former roommate.
I know. And then at the end of the game, Ewers was like, screw you, bro. Jokingly, not jokingly.
And that's what I love about college sports. There's just so much friendly competition.
Yeah, and they got a ton of. I saw they got a ton of respect for each other. They got a ton.
And Jack Sawyer was a local area kid.
Yeah,
that was something sort of interesting to figure out while watching the game. That he was Ohio State kid, and he grew up an Ohio State fan with bedrooms of scarlet and white and red.
Yeah, well, it's funny. So I think they said this on TV as well on ESPN. So he was a 5-star recruit in high school. Like he was a really good he was one of the top defensive ends in his class, and he knew he was going to be a Buckeye from the day he was born. And they said that so he really wanted to go to Ohio State, but his dad was like, "We're going to visit these other schools and see what other options there could potentially be." Well, they said that as his dad was taking a nap or something. He was like, "I'm going to call Ohio State up. I'm going to call Ryan Day up," and he made that phone call. And next thing you know, Jack Sawyer that time passed out while going down the sideline, taking Ohio State to a dang national championship. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
Stuff of legends, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a phenomenal story.
I mean,
Senior leader, he was really distraught about the whole Michigan issue with them planting their flag on the field.
yeah.
He has obviously tons of love for his school and what he represents. And it was just marvelous to see him going down those sidelines to take down the pride of Texas.
Man. If I were a Texas fan, I saw so many of those Longhorn fans after that play. They were just covering their face up. They couldn't.
I saw an Instagram reel of someone who's saying Texas is going to whoop Ohio State, and then the next Instagram reel I see of that person is just them in the shower with their head against the wall. Like, there were so many people saying, "Oh, these bandwagons." Like, you did not hear a single Texas bandwagon that night.
Well, no, so on that drive they had that could have potentially tied the game. Were you a fan of some of those play calls that Steve Sarkisian called down inside the Ohio State 5-yard line? Were you a big fan of those calls?
I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a big fan of them. I wanted them to lose.
Well, because I kind of get what he was trying to do. So on that play where they tackled Wisner in the backfield for a pretty big loss, I don't know about that play call. I get they were trying to get their guard to push outside and get Wisner on the outside and potentially maybe cut back, but there were two. I mean, they stacked that side intentionally because they knew Wisner was going to go that way.
They must have studied his tendencies in the film room, which is an amazing film room discussion for the Ohio State Buckeyes. That was honestly a film room type of play. Well, a play you can only make in the film room.
Yeah, and their linebackers played really well. They filled their gaps. They tackled in space. And from Ohio State's defense, you didn't see, I can't recall too many missed tackles.
At all. They were sound. Very sound.
Yeah, very sound. Yeah, they were very sound. Let's talk about some of the offense a little bit. I couldn't believe that. I mean, Texas's defense has been pretty solid all year, but with 29 seconds to go in the first half, and you give up a 75-yard touchdown on the first play of that drive,
that looks so easy.
I mean, it looked effortless. And what was funny was Ohio State had about 2 or 3 linemen downfield blocking. Henderson had a wall for. I mean, it was an easy roller coaster ride all the way to the end zone.
That play was set up perfectly, and the Texas was just in the perfect front for Ohio State to run that play.
Yeah. And how about the guts from Ryan Day to call a dang screen, or Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, the guts to call a screen pass, and
Texas D line
and the linebackers they have in the secondary they have to call a screen pass, and then go 75 yards to the house.
Yeah, you're setting up your running back to just get lit up.
Yeah,
on that play.
Yeah, especially when you have a guy like Anthony Hill in the middle of that defense who can absolutely just light you up.
Game record.
Yeah.
Especially the safety Michael Taft and all the other guys in that Texas defensive room.
Well, the corner, Jahdae Barron.
Just so much talent in that defense. You were going to set up TreVeyon Henderson for failure. But, man, that was probably the best play of the game. It just looked so smooth, so effortless, and a totally blunder on Texas.
Yeah. Well, and as expected, I mean, Jeremiah Smith didn't have too many targets because I saw on Instagram, they literally had 3 guys in 3 different spots so that wherever Jeremiah Smith went, they were going to. I mean, they had like 3 guys on him. I saw.
Oh, no, I saw that. That's
Saw
kind
that?
of tough
Yeah,
for a freshman. Like
yeah,
that's a high honor for a freshman.
yeah. And seriously, there were. And I think you said you saw it. There were literally 3 guys and 3. They weren't in the same spot. They were in like looked like they were in 3 different zones. If they
They're
were
creating
playing,
him they're basically making a box around
yeah,
him.
whether they were playing zone coverage or not. I mean, they had. I mean, they weren't going to let that guy get open. And if he did,
Mm-mm.
it's going to be a short game.
And Will Howard did a phenomenal. I thought he did a great job.
He did do. He did a great job.
Needs to cut those interceptions down if they want to win the national title. He threw a pick early in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and Quinn Ewers, he laid everything on the line. He laid everything on the line.
He didn't play bad like people thought he was going to play.
No, and he was also. I mean, there was one play where he flicked it to his run. He flicked it to his running back, and usually he's not that kind of. He's usually not that quarterback that just improvises and pulls a Patrick Mahomes or whatever.
That was phenomenal. I saw that play.
Yeah. He's very precise and accurate with his reads. He gets the ball wherever it needs to go. But he showed some stuff that he hasn't done before.
A very field general type of quarterback. A lot of people would say he's one dimensional.
Yeah.
Very good. He has very good touch on the ball. Very good arm strength.
And then they put Arch Manning in for that one play to get a first.
That play was actually really good. The play with Gunnar Helm where they faked the snap and then they snapped it to Arch Manning. I love that play from Steve Sarkisian. Just wasn't enough to get it done.
It was very creative.
Mm-hmm. And Will Howard ran the ball a little bit and had that one run, almost had a touchdown run if he didn't trip.
I know the turf monster got him.
The ghost of Daniel Jones are coming back to haunt him at AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, no, I saw a little turf monster get his little cleat and trip him up a little bit.
And some Ohio State players are saying, "Oh no, Jack Sawyer!" I saw Jack Sawyer sort of making fun of Will Howard about it.
So, the team stats. So Ohio State had 370 total yards of offense. Texas had 341. Passing yards, Ohio State had 289. Texas had 283. Rushing yards, Ohio State rushed for 81 yards. Texas rushed for 58, which usually when they run the ball, it's a lot higher. And then Ohio State averaged almost 7 yards a play, and Texas averaged 5 yards a play.
Pretty even, to be honest.
Yeah.
Quadshawn Junkins did get a rushing touchdown in that game. Him and TreVeyon Henderson were both a factor in that game, like we predicted.
Yep. They sure were. 2-headed monster. 3-headed.
Go ahead.
3-headed monster if you count maybe Will Howard, but
Will Howard's not really a monster in my opinion. He's the best game manager the country has to offer. He can make good throws, he can make great throws, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty and some of the details of the game, he has been nothing but a glorified game manager for the Buckeyes. And I saw him; he never beat Texas in his career. He was just beating on Jack Sawyer's pass. Like, let's go! He was hyping him up so much after he did that.
His face looked like a dang red tomato.
He was just so excited.
You could see it. You could see his veins pop out of his neck. You could just see the excitement and exuberate. I can't say that word. Excitement that was just coming out of him. Jubilation, yeah. That's
on his face. He had lost to Texas like 3 separate times when he played at Kansas State.
Yeah.
Nearly beating him a couple of times. He was just really excited to finally get the one against the Longhorns. And every year, is Texas the team to beat?
I wouldn't say quite yet they're the team to beat. I wouldn't say so. I would say Georgia is.
I mean, whoever wins the national championship this year,
is
going to have a target on their back next year.
But I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
Mm-mm.
Now, if they're constantly, if they win a national championship potentially next year or the year after that, if they're in the playoffs, if they're going to the SEC championship year in and year out, then I'd say yes. But I wouldn't say they're the team to beat right now. Right now, the team to beat.
And yeah, I just want to mention something about Texas is that some of y'all's fans, y'all are just not very good people. Like, this is why we hate. This is why we hate Texas. It's not Texas themselves. It is y'all. Y'all are the reason we hate Texas. Y'all are the reason I do horns down every time I see Texas lose. Texas fans need to step it up. Some of them didn't even go to Texas. I see grown people didn't even go to college rooting for these people, for players they barely know. That's something that pisses me off the most about Texas.
Oh my gosh! I'm an A&M fan. I'm not even going off that much. Oh,
you know, I'm educated. I'm educated. Unlike most of the Texas fans too.
Oh.
I have sense, and I don't think every year is our year. Like most of y'all are Dallas Cowboys fans. You just get another disappointment this year. So y'all just get to be disappointed again. Sorry, the Cowboys disappointed you. The Longhorns couldn't help you either.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Oh, but Texas fans, please down low in the comments. Like, can you please tell me how good y'all are going to be next year? Like, can you just tell me it's y'all's year next year, just so y'all can lose in the third or the second round and not win the national championship?
You're asking for so much crap in the comments. You're asking for it, bro.
And to the Texas fans I'm friends with, y'all are good people. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling the fans that have no connection to Texas whatsoever, and they just root for Texas. They just root for Texas just to be a bandwagon. I'm calling out those bandwagon fans that just that wear those burnt orange jerseys and didn't go to Texas or doesn't really have a player they really like. I know Allison's gonna do some like dirty things to me on this video.
Gosh. Dude. Oh, I needed that laugh.
And you know, some A&M fans aren't amazing either. But you're an amazing Aggie fan, Drew. You're a very humble Aggie fan. I wish we had more humble Longhorn fans out there.
Hey, I'm not scared to admit that I would say that I wanted to say some stuff, but hey,
I just let it go, dude. I'm gonna tell the truth here. I'm gonna tell the truth here. Since Texas lost, that was a burden lifted from me. So I could talk as much trash as I could about the Longhorns. But I love Wisner, I love McDonald, and I love Kobe Black. I love all those guys that play for Texas. As a program, Texas, I'm sorry. Hopefully y'all have a great offseason. Those three players have a great offseason, but Texas as a whole.
You put on your Snap story, on your Instagram story, that you can finally breathe or live now, or you can
finally sleep at night. I can rest knowing that the Texas Longhorns lost.
Oh, Ethan.
They should have lost last week.
Just okay.
Do they have the same referee staff as Patrick Mahomes? Because they get some crazy calls too. Oh, the refs are bad. No, you're just stupid.
Michael.
All right. Well, moving on.
From
I think that's really hard to move on from. But in
hilarious segment.
In transfer portal news, the number one quarterback in the SEC for a while, the one who led the Georgia Bulldogs to great seasons, Carson Beck, went into the portal instead of foregoing to go to the draft, which I think he made a smart decision on the end
for sure
of entering the transfer portal and going to Miami. Following the girlfriend, how does that work out?
that you decided to follow on Instagram. Let's mention
I
that.
do not follow her on Instagram. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm calling you out now.
No, Allison's gonna bring up this graphic. It's gonna say she's gonna look at my account. And it says I don't follow Cavender, the Cavender twins. It's a big get from the staff of Miami.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do good. I don't know. I have mixed feelings on how they're gonna be next year. I know Carson Beck's a good quarterback, but from what I saw, and given, I mean, he didn't have a terrible year. Like it wasn't like awful, but it wasn't great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't amazing.
You know,
very average this year at best.
I wouldn't say. I would not say he's a Cam Ward. Like he's not like a dual threat guy. He's more of like a pocket passer, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I don't know. I don't know what to expect from Miami. I think they're going to be pretty good. I mean, I would expect them to be one of the top teams in the ACC, but
as long as they continue to add weapons for Carson Beck to throw to, that ACC is such an easy conference year in and year out. I think Miami has another chance to go chase a conference title.
Right.
And I think they'll play SMU in the title next year.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know right now about Carson Beck. I don't know. I think he's still a good quarterback. I'm glad he didn't go into the NFL draft. I'm really happy about that decision. Not that he couldn't do good. It's just I think he maybe needed an extra year of really showing what he's capable of. And
especially with that elbow, he needs to prove he can be healthy for a whole year.
Yeah. Well, if you look at Georgia throughout the year, I mean, the first year back was the starter. Look at the weapons he had. He had Brock Bowers, right? He had not Mitchell.
They have George Pickens?
No, I think that was the year prior to that. 2 years prior.
He might have had AD Mitchell for a little bit, for 1 year.
He might have had. But he had Brock Bowers. I mean, he I can't list all the names, but he had a lot of first round talent around him. And he had a lot of good running backs. He had a lot of good offensive linemen.
And even the year he had all that talent, he couldn't get it done against Alabama in that one SEC championship with Jalen Milroe finally playing decent. You know, he's declaring for the draft. That's something that I don't really agree with that standpoint.
Really?
I mean, I think he has the athletic tools he needs to succeed, but he didn't really put up a great stat line this year.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
Lots of interceptions, especially at that loss against Michigan in that bowl game.
Yeah. Well, some of those though were a lot of pressure situations that he just threw the ball in the coverage or.
I mean, but as a quarterback, shouldn't you make the decision to throw the ball away?
Yeah, I mean, the
decision making's not there for Jalen Milroe yet, and I think he's making a premature choice to go into the draft. But
yeah, I mean,
who knows? He could prove me wrong. He could prove the whole country wrong. I don't care who he proves wrong. Just go be great. Don't listen to me.
Yeah. Well, talking about transfer, I mean, I know we mentioned this, but LSU's got some guys from the. I mean, they're still getting guys from the portal. They still have one of the top portal classes in the country. So they should be a pretty interesting team next year.
As long as Garrett Nussmeier doesn't throw 3 interceptions at Kyle Field again.
In a blackout.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, do we now want to get to Notre Dame and Ohio State finally?
Yeah, I would love to predict the national championship.
Sweet. Let's do it.
When you're looking at these statistics, the eye test says Ohio State. And then when you're looking at what you want to feel and what you want to predict, my gut wants to say Notre Dame. My eyes want to say Ohio State. And just by the way Notre Dame is coached makes me want to root for them even more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love the way Marcus Freeman coaches. I love the way he coaches. And so I think the boys in blue get it done, and the Irish take home the national championship.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. You think the Irish? Okay.
With that ball control, they're going to take away so much time that Ohio State would be using to score. I
Okay.
love this underdog run that Marcus Freeman has Notre Dame going on. He's made me a fan of this Notre Dame team. I
Hey,
think Notre Dame's going to take down Ohio State, and they're going to win.
I love that prediction. I love that. I love that prediction. So, this game's being played in Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This stadium has held so many iconic and so many memorable college football moments, championship moments. Alabama versus Georgia in the national championship. You can just name a ton, but we don't have enough time to do that tonight. You've got the Irish and Notre Dame, and like I've been saying these past couple of weeks, and Touchdown Jesus, who have now lead them to the promised land finally, and they have a chance to win in the promised land for the first time since 1988.
An answered prayer, if you will.
An answered prayer. They've got Riley Leonard at quarterback. They've got Jeremiah Love in the backfield. They've got a really good offensive line. They've got a really good wide receiver core. Their defensive line is really good. Their secondary is really good. I mean, just everything about Notre Dame this year. I mean, this is a team that week one went to College Station, beat my Aggies, and quite honestly lost to NIU. And we thought that the sky had fallen. And now they've won, 13, 14 in a row, school record. And now they're playing for a national championship, right? And so you would think, man, Notre Dame, this could be interesting. Well, but then on the other side, you got the Big O. And I'm not talking about the Oregon Ducks. I can't do it. I'm talking about the Ohio State University. I'm talking about.
Oh, you had to have the Ohio State in front of it.
I'm talking about the Buckeyes. I'm talking about the Brutus. Mr. Lee Corso putting on the Brutus head all the time.
Yeah, I bet I'll be seeing him put on that hat on Monday.
I'm talking about Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith. I'm talking about Edmund Edebuka, Quayshad Judkins, Trayvon Henderson, Jack Sawyer, Caleb Downs. You're talking about an Ohio State team trying to get their first national championship since Urban Meyer in 2014. How could I ever go against the Buckeyes? How could I? Right? How could I?
Notre Dame has touchdown Jesus.
Notre Dame's got touchdown Jesus, and you can't beat Jesus, can you?
No.
So I'll tell you what. Give me the Big O to beat Notre Dame in the national championship.
I
love touchdown Jesus, but Brutus is going to win this one. Give me the Buckeye.
I just want Big Brother to go down for once. They're going to be nice to Little Brother in this game, and that's why I think Notre Dame's going to win. I think their defense is really going to hold this Ohio State offense, especially with Marcus Freeman being the defensive mind he is.
Well, hey, Notre Dame says onward to victory, and they've been saying that since they lost to NIU week 2. But then Buckeyes are going to stop that onward to victory this coming.
Here come the Irish.
Here come the Irish no more.
No. The Irish are winning the national title.
No, I got the Buckeyes.
I got the Irish.
You got the Irish.
Their defense is going to force a few make Will Howard make mistakes.
All right.
And then they're going to kill the time of possession, and then before you know it, the clock's going to hit 0, and Notre Dame's going to have one of those games where they win 17-10.
Okay. All right. We'll see what happens.
It is January 20th. It is on a Monday. Yeah. A week from now, exactly.
Well, this is our last college football game of this season. So
I would love to see what y'all want from Drew and I this off season. Obviously, school's coming back in session pretty shortly. Yeah. But please drop video ideas below what you want to see more on the podcast. Maybe Allison can put a poll out on our YouTube channel about what content y'all want us to create.
Oh gosh.
But other than that, I think this is the last week of college football. We might have a massive season recap for the last episode.
Well, and don't forget we have NFL playoffs coming up. Wild card started yesterday. We had some pretty good games the past couple of days.
Yeah, there's a game tonight going on as we speak. Minnesota and the Rams are playing right now. Yep. I'm probably going to go watch that when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I want to wish y'all a goodbye. Thank you for tuning with us this college football season.
Yep.
Thank you for sticking it with us when two kids with a bright idea decided to start a podcast. When two guys pursuing sports broadcasting decided to start a podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and for the 18 people subscribed on YouTube, for the 40-ish people that follow on Instagram, I want to thank you all.
Yeah, thanks for the support and all that, keeping us going.
All right. Well, this is Ethan Mailer signing off.
This is Drew signing off. See y'all.